Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Well, hello, good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Foxter, on the show this evening is Port Bell, Southside and GB. Evening, gentlemen. Evening, Port.
Evening, mate. Good to be on. Thank God that horrible international football's done, mate. I hate it, mate, honestly.
Evening, Southside.
Evening, Ox. Good to be back. Good to be on with the Riot crew tonight, Port and GB. So, looking forward to it.
Riot. Where? In a tissue shop? Evening, GB.
The pina coladas.
Pina coladas. Oh, Southside likes a pina colada. Don't.
Aye, I'm in there. I'm in.
Evening, lads. Good to be on with you tonight. Full house tonight. This is unusual for the Rangers Radio, so it'll be interesting to hear everybody's point of view tonight after, as Port says, that horrible international break.
Oh, you say that. Was it horrible for our group of players? Port Bell.
Not at all, mate. That's the only reason I get a wee bit uptight about it being on the edges, because all I want is Rangers players to come back fit and healthy. That's all I want, mate. But when they go away and perform like some of your guys did, then that excites me, because obviously, there's been a few things documented that Raskin, but he still starts for Belgium. And obviously Asgard goes and scores 4, and then Cornelius, our new centre back, turned Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ben's one into tap corner, his free kick for Canada. So no, mate, no, it's been exciting, mate. It's been exciting for that sense of things.
I'm not having a go at our manager, but somebody hit me a text and said Asgard scored more goals in 16 minutes and we've scored the league all season.
Aye. Well, good on the plus side is he's back getting some game time, and didn't take him long to score 4 goals, no matter the opposition.
26 minutes or something, was it?
I think it was just after an hour or something to come on. But no, it's good he got some goals and he's getting some game time, and we're looking for him to kick on now at Ibrox when he gets in the first team, because up to now he's not really showed much. So we're hoping now come Saturday they all get a chance to go out and show what we've got and start getting the performances and the goals tally in and start winning football matches.
GB, do you think that international break actually maybe came at the right time for us as a group, a support team, club?
Hawks actually did, strangely enough. I mean, now that it's passed and the way the players have performed and the aftermath of the Old Firm, and as Port touched on there with Raskin situation, there's been things that's came out for his kind of statement and that as well. So it probably did. It was probably the reset button was needed pressed, wasn't it? And now it really is a clean slate, Ox, in a sense that it's all the excuses are taken away now. They've had time now to get back into the training with guys that are on their way in the international break, and it's probably gave time to Russell Martin to maybe reflect on a couple of things, the club to reflect. We had the Kevin Felwell interview as well, all that kind of stuff. So I think what it says, it's probably gave them a bit of time to breathe, and now it's over to them, Ox. They've got to go out and perform now, because, as you said, the international break's proven that we have got players that can score goals.
Aye. Listen, mate, all it takes is a run of results, mate, and things look differently, but that starts on Saturday, and it's going to be interesting. Southside, what did you make of the news? It dropped yesterday, obviously, the probation sentence of 2 years, potential ban for European away tickets because of the flares. I know you like flares, only because you didn't like the drain pipes. But I'll ask you, somebody sent me something. I thought it was a great idea. I don't know your thoughts on it. The people were there in Belgium, put them from gold to bronze in my jersey as a punishment. Any thoughts, mate?
I'll go with that. And considering I used your ticket, you'll no move for then. That'll do me.
Oh, I never really thought that one right through, did I forgot. Oops. That's what you call it. Oops.
There you go.
Oh well, we'll forget about that.
Aye, it's a bad idea anyway. By the way, talking about that, I forgot to give the boys on YouTube a shout out. I apologise. We're just back after a wee short break, so I'll say hello to Rapon, Wallace and Stephen and Andrew and the rest of the troops that are on the other night, because they join the show every time we're back, mate, and it's the first night back and they're all back in again, so I apologise, guys, for not giving you a shout out earlier. But back to that, I will need to box cover. I suppose they're on our case.
I just be sensible, mate. Well, I get it, and I'll be really honest, mate. If the younger people, I'd have been involved in that as well, mate. But just be sensible, yeah. Don't hurt the thing. We all want to see do well, you know, for the sake of them. What's the pyro last for? A couple of minutes tops, yeah.
Aye.
I get it. It's effective. Young people like it. I get it when you're caught in emotion. No having a go, but just be. All we're asking people is be sensible, so that people can go away and continue to support the Rangers in Europe. Yeah.
Aye, of course, mate. And whether you remember, it's the financial penalties. 20 grand. At the end of the day, mate, it's really what we keep doing without. And if it continues, you know what happens, mate. It escalates, and before you know it, it'll be home games. And can you imagine that stadium on a Wednesday or Thursday night? European nights empty, mate. That'd be an absolute disaster.
I think there'll be one the other side of the city empty the way they're gone, but that's another topic. Anyway, I mean, to be fair, if I wasn't being away in Bruges, I'd have wanted that pyro to stay on for the 90 minutes, GP, if I'm
honest. the surrender pyro. It's one of the things. It might not even get to the point where it's a stadium. It might be that the club will take it into their hands and start banning folk for Ibrox, and that just creates another bad atmosphere, Ox. So it's like you say, it's time to be sensible. I think we've been down this road too many times with the pyro. It is a good look, but it's clearly that nobody likes it out with our club. So it's one of the things that, if they continue it, then on their head be it, Ox. If anything comes of it, then it's on them.
It's happening all over the world football, mate. It's a trend that's popular, and look, I really don't care about other teams. I just don't want to affect our support in our club, Southside, if I'm honest, yeah.
Aye, if the ban comes, it'll come for an away game. I mean, we've already had one before, on a couple of occasions, but as always, bears find their way into the stadium. But aye, they seem to be on our case about it. And the one in Bruges, obviously, tipped the iceberg. So it's going to be back to boxing cover. Very seldom date at Ibrox. It's never really been a problem. Apart from when they've done their 15th year anniversary. But apart from that, it's very seldom done at Ibrox. So I wouldn't see a ban coming for that. But aye, we've got 2 years to box Clever Ox.
Aye. Right, listen, a question, Port Bear, question to you, mate. Don't worry, I'll not make it too hard. Remember your general knowledge. Remember that? Right.
I'm not going to go on there.
Where are we, Port? Where are we as a team? Where are we as a squad?
Right now, obviously, we've not seen much of the sort of signings come in near the end of the transfer window. So, but as a squad right now, I think you were right earlier on when you said in regards to where we left off before the international break, and what Gary touched on as well. I think it was probably a good time just to end something and close that wee sort of chapter. It gives the manager a fortnight on the pitch with what's left at Ibrox, because there's a lot of guys away on international duty, obviously. But maybe a wee time, a bit of reflection for himself, mate, that Kevin Thelwell, because the Thelwell interview, remember, sort of just started before the international break as well, and he said there was going to be documented, going to speak to the manager, about things and maybe formations, etc. That, maybe the club needs to go a more pragmatic way of football rather than this, brain numbing Russell Martin idea that just isn't working at the moment because I don't think he's got the tools for it, mate, to be honest. But there's a few decisions to be made, first of all, mate. I think one of the biggest decisions he's got right away, and Theo touched on it in regards to a chat between him, Russell Martin, and Nico Raskin, mate. Because what I just touched on Nico, mate, I believe he's the best player in Scotland, right? It's my opinion. I believe he's the best player in Scotland. And I don't want Rangers to lose money. Being silly when clearly the Belgian coach picks him every game in the last few, I think it's 4, he's been picked to select and started.
He never
alongside
played.
De
He
Bruyne
never
and
played in the first. He never played in the first
Yeah,
game, but
yeah.
I think that's because of the suspension hanging around his head, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's what we get here, mate. He's an important cog, in my opinion. I think Rangers are a better team in a minute, and I think Martin has to be told, we need to fix this problem because I want them to sign at least another year extension, mate, just so we just protect our investment. And I know I'm thinking numbers here and money, but I think we have to.
I get the protecting investment, but I'm sure people have a different point of view. I get it, because ideally, if there wasn't any problems outside, this is the perfect time to cash out in it with the length that's left in his contract. Yeah.
Aye, well, obviously nobody came in for him and put the money on the table because I believe probably if they had, I think probably Nico would have went if it was a step up. If it'd been even a Premier League team down in England put in money for him, I believe he would probably have went. But because it's a big year for him, he's wanting to go to the World Cup. So, and I agree with Port. In the midfield, to me, he's our best midfielder. I know he's brought in Rothwell and he had his visions of what he can do and whatever, but at the moment, he's not done it. He's miles off it. And I believe we're probably stronger with Nico Raskin in the team. So he'll have to get into the team. He'll want to solve the differences because nobody's come in and we've not sold him. So he can't sit there and let it fester and we can't just bin him. Well, we could, but it's an asset as we talk about. And we are stronger with him in our team. But he wants to go to the World Cup, so his performances on the park for Glasgow Rangers will probably have to be good to keep him in the team, and hopefully it'll bring his success going forward. But at the same time, he's got to come in and play well because he wants to go to the World Cup and he wants to be picked continuously for Belgium. So it's a big year for him as well. I agree. I think if the differences can get sorted or it's ironed out to a point, then I would say to him, we'll put an extra year or 2 down for you and we'll put a clause in your contract. If you love the club that much, there's no problem with you signing on. But that will all depend on, has he really got the long-term future at the club? There could be, we've sort of sorted it, but it's not really sorted because at the end of the day, we're no privy to what's happened before and why he get left out of the Celtic squad when they came to Ibrox. But obviously something happened. I've heard Neil and Barry Ferguson talk about it and say question things. He was a wee bit this and that, but it's all right. You can question as long as you don't go overboard. But he get left out for a reason which we're not privy to. And also when he gets the talks with Elwell and that and Russell Martin, we'll not be privy to that either. But hopefully it'll get ironed out because we are stronger with Nico Raskin in our first 11 from what the evidence has shown so far and what he's done previous.
Yeah, listen, just changing the subject, I'll come back to that in a minute, but talking about players that's had the problems with their manager when they've been with Graham Roberts springs to mind, and I'm sure everybody will join me in wishing Graham in his battle against cancer, mate. He was a fighter on the park, and I'm sure he'll meet this head on, and everybody here at Rangers Radio, all the best to Graham Roberts. Aye, get your view on it, GB.
Aye, it needs sorted out, Ox. Like I says, Martin kind of made his position clear on it. He was very cagey with his interviews on it. He kept kind of passing the buck, and it's strange, like with the way the club's handled it, with Fellow coming out and talking about it. They've made it a thing. They've probably made it more than probably what it is. And Southside says there with Neil McCann and Barry Ferguson talking about it. It could just be it's that kind of foreigner thing where he's just questioning things. It's just sometimes in their culture to be either moany or but they're not meaning it in probably a bad way, to be honest, because if he was an absolute nightmare of a player, he wouldn't have lasted this long at Rangers in the first place, Ox. And he certainly wouldn't be in a Belgium squad that's trying to get into a World Cup. So I think Russell Martin, again, that's what I'm saying, he's got a bit of reflection today and maybe get a better understanding of the player, and vice versa. Nico Raskin's got to get a better understanding of Russell Martin, but he's trying to get out the two of them. And what I says, hopefully we see the best, as Southside says, World Cup year. It's up to him now to grab a shot and perform for the rest of the season. And then what happens at the end of the season, then it's down to Nico Raskin, down to the club. I mean, something could happen in January, obviously, but he'll be looking for consistency, Ox. He'll be looking for a right good season so that he's confirmed for that World Cup. And then after that, his future will take care of itself, kind of thing. So, but the thing I'm concerned about is if it comes back to Hearts and he's not even in the squad, Ox, then it's just going to be a thing that will be lingering in the background all the time. And no doubt
there's nothing you can do in January if that's the case, mate.
I know, but the press will keep bringing it up in their press conferences all the time. What's going on with Nico? And it'll be that'll be the negativity thing. And that's what we don't want.
I'll make you a promise then. If that does happen, we'll not discuss it on here. If that makes you feel better, all right?
Not at all, but like I say, I'm up for discussing his performances. but you know what the press has been like with it? They've not talked once about any matches. It's been more about what's going on with you and Nico Raskin. So he's got to nail this and get this sorted.
It'll be nailed today or tomorrow morning at the latest. It'll be nailed. They'll have a conversation, and then when the press go and ask him on Friday, he'll turn around and say, "It's been dealt with."
Aye.
That's it. That's all he needs to say. Doesn't he go? Because he says, "Well,
put it to bed."
Why do you want to explain it all? What's actually going to be said? He's no. I'll get put to bed either the day when Raskin come back and we're into training, or it'll be put to bed tomorrow. And I dare say he'll be available for selection, and then it's up to the manager and him and whatever. Well, he has to find his best midfield option. The whole midfield's not been functioning since he came in, so he's got to get the right blend in there. So he's got to work it out, the manager, because it's not been working so far. Are
you saying that on performances, you would think that with the last game, your best midfield is Barron, Diamonde, and Raskin? Is that what you're saying to me, Southside?
No, I'm not saying that. Listen, they've been in and done a job. But let's be honest, we never created anything for the midfield. So that midfield worked hard and with all our heart and endeavour without being any creative work. And Asgard had a job to do on McGregor. So it was down to Diamonde and Barron, and they done what they could, ran their heart out, tried, worked really hard for the team, but we never created. So I don't think they three would be the three that would start against Hearts just because they started then. But at the end of the day, he needs to find a blend in the midfield. Us four could sit here tonight and pick three, and we might be similar in the three we pick all the time, but that might not be the three that actually work well. You know, Lyle Cameron could be a player that maybe has to come in there at some point and fit, and he might be the wee one that gets in the box, goes forward, does this, or it might be Asgard might come in because he might pick up form, he might be the creative player. We don't know yet, Ox, because it's been mismatched since the start, and we've not really had a three. He's picked many a three, but they've not really worked as well as a unit, have they?
No, young Cameron scores that chance against St Mirren, mate. All of a sudden he's got two in a couple of games, mate. You know, and a few games, and people say, "Has he got the knack?" You know. But I agree with you totally. The midfield hasn't created a lot all season, if we're honest. GB, yeah.
No, actually, they've not worked as hard as what they worked in Old Firm. That needs to just, like as Russell Martin said, that needs to be the level in every game now. And like I said, I think the goals will take care of itself, hopefully. But the actual performance of the midfield in Old Firm was what I was expecting. Like that way, he says it's all about just trying to get the wins. You know, I was expecting kind of that throughout the season, right for the start, that would be working hard like that in games, but it's just not been there. And then, like Southside said, it's just been because he's been chopping and changing that midfield like nobody's business. But what does he do? That Rothwell and like say Arns and that has been his kind of choice signings, isn't it? So he's got to look very silly if these guys don't get a chance anymore. You know what I mean? If it's Tarvik comes back in, and it's going to be Raskin, Diamandi and Barn, you mean?
I don't want to have a go at the two guys, but if you're picking the team on form this new GB, the two guys that you mentioned wouldn't be in it. If you're honest, but it's up to the manager. He falls and dies by his selection, Port Bear, yeah?
It certainly does, mate. You know, one South City's hurting the heat. The blend in the midfield has to be right, and I think we've got enough in the midfield. If you get the selection right and they play enough games together, Oxford, I think we've got the credentials of a decent midfield in there. And the one I'd like to see in the six, it's only my preference, is Raskin. I've watched him for Belgium, mate, and I'll tell you, see in the last games he's come on for Rangers, he's basically turned the ball over more in the short times he's been on than Rothwell or anybody else has done in that whole midfield. You know, he plugs gaps, mate. He puts out fires. He just marshals that back four. He's quite a mobile wee guy. Covers every blade of grass, and that's why I think he should
be the face of the midfield. Good near.
Sort of good near as well. That's another good input, mate. Aye, but I still believe, by the way, I still see enough in Rothwell. I know he's not been hitting the levels that we were saying and what I've heard about at Leeds, but I do think there's a player there, Oxford. I think him and Raskin could dovetail together, you know, and be, you know, Raskin sits and let Rothwell be the one that pushes, because I do think Rothwell passing and his eye for a pass, his dead balls, I do think they'll have a place in your teammate, but I think he could go forward one and let Raskin be the six. I know people will say Raskin's maybe a bit erratic on the ball at times to play in that six role, I think maybe that's what Russell Martin thinks. Rothwell's probably better on the ball than what Raskin is, but it's what I like in midfield is his endeavour, he's tackling, he puts out fires, he plugs gaps, mate, and he covers every blade of grass. He can get about the pitch a lot better. But I do believe Rothwell's a better player on the ball, mate, if that makes sense. But we've got enough there. Like you've got Asgard, Diamandi for that other sort of creative link. You know what I mean? We've got good choices to make. He just needs to make the right ones, mate.
I may have to look at his setup and his how he picks the team. But listen, but I've got a simple view on Nico Raskin, South Side. Simple view. You know, if Nico wants to leave the club, you get a deal, you get it sorted as soon as possible, and you move on. Yeah, good for all parties. But I would contradict myself. I do agree with Port Bear. I think on his day, he's the best midfielder in Scotland. I don't think domestically he's been on his day this season so far. There will be reasons for that. There might be the blend, the selection, the shape, the personnel, whatever you want to call it. But we're only critiquing what we've watched so far. So this thing will play out. We'll go one or two ways. Always does. And watch this space. But I'm not interested in individuals. I'm interested in the collective, mate. That's just me when I was brought up. The team. Because we'll not win the team. We'll not win games with just Nico Raskin. We need to get the team on the park to function. The 11 players, mate. And start putting the ball in the net.
Aye, if Joe Rothwell had come up here and had been in about it and on it straight away, probably nobody would really be saying too much about Nico Raskin. But he's not been. He's been miles off it. So Nico, for me, is the better player. When we say buzzing about his Port saying and he's shutting down and all that and stuff, aye, I get it, but if you're trying to stay in the ball and dominate it, then I think he's looking for him to build the play, and I agree. I think Rothwell's probably a better passer of the ball and stuff like that, but he's no showed anything else. He might be comfortable and tidy on the ball, Rothwell, but fitness-wise and where he's meant to be and that, and I don't agree, Port. I've looked at it. I don't think the two of them can probably play. I don't think you can push Rothwell up one at the moment. I think you could probably make a case for other players in the midfield to get in about it in the number 8 position or right and left midfield pushing up than Rothwell. He's done it with the two of them in the team, and Rothwell's looked the weakest link out the two. So I think he really needs to take a back seat and think he needs to maybe speak to him and say, here, you want in this team, you need to put out the two guys that I'm picking in front of you, or else he'll maybe come in. Port maybe in certain games, if Nico plays a European game, we've got a league game, and looking at the opposition, Nico's going to start again the Thursday when these games start kicking in every week. in the European games, then Rothwell should be able to come in and play the 6 and just spell Raskin, because Raskin can't start every single game, we're trying to rotate a bit, so at some point Rothwell will need to merit and show that he is a number 6 and he can go in and do a job, and it would probably help the two of them. And if Nico wants to keep his form, which he has to do for the World Cup, so he'll be keen to play, as long as the two of them start playing well, it will probably help the rest of the team in the midfield.
Right, cheers, mate. Listen, we better get the phone lines open, but I'll just give you Fox's take on Joe Rothwell. He said to me, lovely hair. Don't know what he means by that, but there we go. Anyway, we better get the phone lines open. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, we're not going to play the farewell interval because it's all news and a lot of things have moved on for it. It was quite interesting at the time. Yeah, and there's pressure on the team, the management team, to perform, because obviously GB domestically, we've got to be honest, results and performances haven't been good enough. Sometimes you can have decent performances and drop points and people have been unlucky. Let's be really honest again, mate. That ain't been the case, is it?
No, teams have outworked us, Ox, and they've played simple football, balls at the top, breaking the lines, busting, even like we talked about before the break-up there, that Ayala, how they were able to rip his open. I mean, that's Ayala able to rip your midfield open. So I think his higher-ups had to have a word with him. I mean, especially Farewell and Russell Martin, because I don't think that interview would have been sanctioned just to appease the fans. I think they've had to come out and explain themselves a wee bit, which, by the way, I welcome. I mean, something had to get said about it to make sure that we're just not moaning for no reason and they're not caring. It did show that he's obviously backing his manager, Kevin Farrell, and it's on him. Like I say, he's came out and says that results need to improve. He's asked for patience and stuff like that, but he knows the score, Ox. Russell Martin, as it stands now, is still game to game. If we go into this same game against Hearts and Hearts out players, Ox, then big questions are going to get asked. And you said to us before, these guys are shrewd businessmen. They're smart. They've looked at it. They've put heavy investment into Rangers this summer, and they'll be looking for a return, Ox. They'll be definitely, in this SPFL, they'll be looking for a better performance.
Well, I'll be looking for better performance. I don't think the financial return will be so instant, but there'll be more on the performance, and pressure will grow if you don't get results. That doesn't matter, Port, if you've been at a team 1 month, 3 months, or Ten Hag 2 games, but 1 month, 2 months, or you've got a great record for 7 years, 10 years, whatever. If you don't get results, pressure grows in you as a manager. It's just the nature of the game, isn't it?
Aye, and the beast is Joe Furham, mate, as well. Playing for them, you just don't get, or managing, you don't get the time. I mean, you're only 2 games away from a disaster in Scotland. Effectively, you could be top name manager. Jose Mourinho could have been Rangers manager next year, but if he still come after the same sort of performances and level of football that we're watching the fans would still be calling for his seat before the international transfer window, mate. It's just the nature of the beast in Scotland, mate, and managing Rangers. I think that's just the way it is. The pressure comes with it, and we've spoken about this 1,000 times on the show. Even players, there's been a much better players, much better level of player, more expensive players came to Scotland and not cut it. I think what's happened with a lot of the players that come to Scotland, I think they underestimate the game. I think Theo probably done that. I think Martin's played the game up here, but probably thought with the level of player that he's dealing with at Rangers, should be enough to deal with what we've seen so far, on the pitch at Ibrox. And I think he'd probably given a bit of a culture shock, mate, because I think a lot of people underestimate your league, mate, and it gets a lot of flack, but it's a tough old league to play in, mate. I always say, it all reminds me of, the old days of playing with a hot toddy. It's so quick. You've got minutes on the ball. It's not like in England where you see them standing with their foot on top of the ball and we glance up and they're glancing at 40 yards, 50 yards, 30-yard passes, not the feet, not again. It's not like that. It's just not like that. It's totally different. And this is what I think. I hope the manager has really had a look at yourself this year. I think that's one of the biggest, most important things that was coming out, that we heard he was quite arrogant, and quite it's my way or no way sort of idea. But we've seen a change already in the Old Firm game, because he's changed his formation, he changed the setup a wee bit slightly. So I think he's already starting to have a wee look, mate, that we can't just go with his approach all the time. Sometimes you have to be a bit more pragmatic in your approach to football. There's no harm in throwing the ball in behind at times, or going long, as well as playing and trying to implement his style of football. I totally get it, what he's trying to do this year. But when it doesn't work in Scotland, no, you've not got the tool in the box, then you have to go to your second plan, or you have to discuss, and Theo touched on that in his interview, mate. So he's doing it. At least he's listening. He's listening, mate.
I do genuinely believe at the top level of football which we play it, and you're trying. Yeah, I'm not saying we're in the top league, but we're striving to be at the top level. I think you need more than one string here. But what I will say is, you're trying to play this brand of football. I don't get it, Paul. I don't understand why this trend in the modern game, and I'll go to Southside, and I get it, you're trying to pull their midfield out of space, but when you're passing around about your own 6-yard box, there's a chance you're going to lose a goal, and I don't understand it. If somebody can tell me what it guarantees, and they might give you the stats, you might lose 2 goals a season, but it creates 5s, so you're 3 up, but it's when you lose the goals, mate, and I don't understand it, Paul. I really genuinely don't. I'm not saying that you have to put the ball long all the time, or you go back to old gas meter, Southside, when it's snowing it and it came down for the centre forwards to attack it. I get football's changed, but some of the things it's trendy now, I just think suicidal football.
You have the players that can play the system.
Even way good players, the one mistake for the ball.
Aye. Well, you've got to trust that you're doing it repetitive, and the players are all going to. At some point, defenders make mistakes. It doesn't matter, but when you're giving yourself more chance of making a mistake with the risky football that you're playing, some of them haven't been making the right angles on the park for certain players to get the ball and stuff. It's been teething problems since the start, and it's manifested into the midfield's been unsettled, and we're not even creating chances up front. So we've seen it all since the start of the season to where we are now, and we've got to hope that come Saturday that it changes, that the system starts to work and the players go on the ball, and we get the wingers one-on-one with defenders to go and take them on. I believe we've got good pace in the wings and creative players, and we just need to give them the ball more. Teams will double up them. St Mirren done it against Ant-Man. So we'll need to be prepared for that. But if they're doubling up, it should allow a runner to go and run into space. So I'm just looking at it as we need to get the ball out to our wingers and create chances. And if we go with a 2 at certain games, I don't think we'll start with a 2. I think you'll either play the 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, whatever he might do. We'll see in time whatever he does on Saturday. But I don't think we'll see 2 strikers on the park. That's just my opinion. I think Majowski will probably start as the one. But the most important thing is we need runners for midfield. We need to get players in the box, and we need to create chances. And that's one thing we've not really been doing at all. If you look at our goal stats and chances created, it's very poor at the moment. But hopefully that will start to change going forward now. He's doing a Bridgeman, is he?
It's not even that. Southside. See, the thing is,
am I a dinosaur, Port? Am I a dinosaur?
No, I get where you're coming from, mate. I really do. I mean, I watched Man City before the international, but I watched them, and Pep Guardiola is the guy that started all this craze, mate, about playing out for the back, and the centre halves take the ball in the 6-yard box after the keeper, and then it starts from there. But they've been caught out a couple of times because obviously they've not he's a master of it, and he's been away out there and brought in players that maybe are not ready to play his system yet. They've been caught out and they've lost goals. They've lost 2 goals actually this year for open play. Man City try to stick to their values, but just sometimes I think football's always a moving object, mate. It changes, patterns, formations, even strikers are changing again Is that somebody coming in next year?
Yeah, we've been joined by Christopher. Evening, Christopher.
Good evening, gentlemen. How is everybody tonight?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Looking forward to get back to the real football, not the fake football we've just had over the last week or so.
Yeah, mate. I get where you're coming from, mate. I get where you're coming from. Right, what's on your mind, mate?
Yeah, it's about recruitment, which I think is probably one of the most important aspects of a football club, because if you get that right, chances of you being successful obviously increase. But I look at the recruitment and how we've done our recruitment. It looks as if we've done recruitment on the back of a fag packet. The reason I say that is Farewell and Purdy were Everton. Now, the players that they would be looking at Everton and the prices, the wages, etc., is a completely different market to what we're looking at. They've come in, Russell Martin's come in. I'm sure Russell Martin's had his say on who he wants and things like that. But how much due diligence was done on these players? How many times were these players actually physically viewed, actually going to a game and actually watching these players from the stands or video scouting them and all that? How much of that was done before we went and signed those players? Because I do worry that due to the turnover, the quick turnover, Farewell coming in and getting the signings in and things like that, there's not been a period where a good extensive due diligence can happen. And I do wonder, look, I'll give you an example. Fernandes, £3.5 million was spent on him. Now, for me personally, I wouldn't have spent that money on him because he's now potentially fourth choice. I would have kept Enciala personally, but that's my personal preference. But I just look at it, I look at some of the decisions we've made, and why are we so arrogant towards the Scottish market? Why do we now Mulligan, Shankland, we're going for free. Two players that could come in and contribute from day one, know the league and things like that. What do you think of the players individually? They could come in and contribute and they would cost you nothing. Penrice, I've been singing that guy's praises for a long time that we should have signed him. We turn our back on him and decide to go for a loan in Macoma. It just seems to be very fag packet recruitment. And you look at Farewell, the Farewell interview, he says, I know the English market and things like that, but we shouldn't be restricting ourselves to basically the English market. We should be looking at Japan, Scandinavia, and all the rest of it. But why are we now, Billy, another one, a good Scottish talent, chances are we probably won't even go in for him. So why do we turn our back on Scottish talent that's coming through?
Well, I'll pass you to a Scottish talent expert, Southside.
Probably sometimes when we go for him, Christopher, we've seen him in the past, the prices went up. I agree with Penrice, right? I think he was a good player, but Hearts sold him. And whether we went for him or no, I've got no idea. Mulligan I liked, but he chose Hibs, I believe, so that's where he went. Whether Russell Martin fancied him or no, I don't know if the manager before did. When Barry was there, it was something the club looked at, I don't know. But he chose Hibs, and he's away to Hibs. Whether he'd been good enough for us or no, I don't know. In time, because you look at the midfield and the way we're trying to play. So I don't know, Christopher, but I think Gasman will come with good. I think Ant-Man will probably be decent. I think Majowski will be a good signing. Jimitti's obviously done for Purdy and Thelwell when they purchased him at Everton or thereabouts and probably know about him. So he's probably potential. And Fernandes, I agree. I think we paid away too much for him, and I can't believe that we paid that money. And he's actually fourth choice centre back. And I know been giving him a lot of game time, but Cornelius will come in there, obviously, and be playing. I think he'll probably marshal the defence. And looking at him, I think he's got a wee bit more about him. I don't think Suter does it enough, and I don't think Giga at the moment is looking a bit dodgy at times with the ball at his feet, but hopefully he'll come good. He's got plenty of pace, and it'll just have to trust in the process. Rothwell, the one for me, is the one that's really let Russell Martin down, I think, in the signings. I think since he's been playing him a lot of times, Aaron's gave him a wee bit of benefit of doubt that he was playing out of position at the start. But probably they two at the moment, I would think, are the two that have to really improve. The rest of them, I think, will probably be fine, and I think they'll go on and show in time that they're good players, and the same with Taylor Asgard. That's just my opinion, Christopher.
There's a few different questions within Christopher's comments, mate. Over to you.
How you doing, Chris? Cheers for calling in, mate. In regards to recruitment, mate, I think the reason he went to the English market, if you look back at his interview, he said the reason he concentrated on the English market in this transfer window in particular was because he had to get players in quickly. He knew the market, he knew players that were available, he knew the loan market, and because he's been in that position that he's doing, director of football for his previous club as well, he's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies in different networking in regards to players, mate. And I think that was the biggest reason they chose a lot of the English-based players. I think he thought, right, I know I've seen this guy. Maybe they've scouted him for Everton. Maybe he scouted him for another club. Maybe he's working for. But all these guys all talk to each other, and they all look at these markets where there's loads of information they can get and find out about players. I mean, Liverpool are a great example. Liverpool use like a scouting network, and you ever seen the film Moneyball? Well, they almost basically decide on their players on stats. It's that stat-driven buying, and basically the manager's not in charge of buying the players. It's upstairs in a scouting team, a director of football that deals with all that for these clubs now. And I think that's just the way that Tello and his team are trying to put this together. They're trying to get together to get the product on the park to the best level as soon as possible.
What? Just quickly before we go, GB. I think Moneyball it was a great movie, wasn't it? And it was baseball with statistic driven, and it's what you do because it's baseball, cricket, that kind of game. They're individual games within a team game. But football, mate, football is your stats. You can have 100 passes and 97 of them are good, but you don't have a good game.
No, I get it, mate, but I was watching a documentary about Liverpool, mate. That's how I know about it. It's basically they went with that exact same policy that the film Moneyball created. They're just going on. The manager doesn't decide any players, by the way. He just
that's quite common, mate. That's common. You have an input, mate.
And I think, but I know where Chris is coming from. I probably get where you're going with this. I think you like the old fashioned going scouting a player, going see him. I know Chris, getting your eyes on the guy, so the manager gets to see him as well. That's the way I prefer it, because I'm a bit of dinosaur as well. But I understand how clubs are buying. Sorry, mate.
Can I explain why I prefer that method? Just you've got a bit of insight why I prefer that method. Because see, when you're seeing them physically in the flesh, you're seeing a lot more than their stats. You're seeing them. How do they react when you're 1-0 down? How do they react in adversity? Do they hang their head down and just say, or are they hungry for the ball when we're 1-0 down? You don't see that on stats. Stats can't tell you that. Stats can't tell you what kind of personality are they a leader? Do they lead? Seeing them in the flesh time and time again, you can build up a profile of that, if you know what I mean, eh?
Yep. I totally agree with you, mate.
I've tried to coach GB for years back in the day when they say that you can't judge everything in life through videos. But you know what I'm talking about there, Southside.
Especially when it comes to Port, I know what you're talking about.
But Chris, I think you're right. But that becomes difficult if you're coaching and there's windows, because you've maybe you decide that Joe Bloggs is the right back you fancy, and for May to July he's not playing again, and you've got a decision to make. That's a downside to the transfer window. And if you're trying to sign somebody for a successful club, I accept your point. You maybe want to see how somebody reacts when they're 2-0 down. But you might then have to wait another 3 months before they're 2-0 down before you see how he reacts. And all of a sudden, it's November, and then the window's shut, and you can't buy it in January. It's difficult now because a lot of things are done with video analysis rather than flesh, and all that comes into play. But you'll get the stats. And maybe once you've done your video analysis, that's when you maybe take the chance to go and look at somebody. But you'll not get everything in one game. It's difficult, Port. It's difficult, GB, in it, to get recruitment right for bringing people in, because everybody's a gamble. Even good and great players don't always work out.
No, and we've seen that in the past, Ox, with some of the boys who were brought in. I mean, it's been wasteful money. And I think, Chris, you make good points, mate. The whole left back situation was doing my head in during this transfer window, but I think they got caught short. Probably they knew Ridvan was going out the door, and they were hoping that they could probably work with Yefty, but with the money that came in for Yefty, they had to take it, and then they're kind of.
Would you take it? Would you take it, GB? Sorry, would you take that money for Yefty?
All day long, Ox, and we'll probably we'll never get a chance to take that money ever again, probably, for him. The way his form was at the start of this season. But what has happened is that $3 million that we spent on Fernandes is looking rough now, because we needed a proper left back in. And to be honest, we've only really got cover there with one player now as it stands. I know the boy for Canada's came in and he can play left back, but again, it's still, he's no a proper left back. I mean, we've not got that full experience there. So the Fernandes thing, it's all right buying potential. I think it's good to buy potential when you've got a winning squad, but when you've not got a winning squad, then they always look a waste of money.
So he's listen, mate, Fernandes is the young, is he? Is the young. Port, I'd be interested in Southside as well. Christopher talked about the Scottish market. I get it, mate. I think we should look, in that, particularly if somebody wants to play for our club and he's got the ability. I think it's a big plus. But it's not always a good fit, but it's getting it right. What better than Southside again?
If we're honest, mate, our club was always built, and our 9 in a row, in particular, our club was built on taking the best out. I get what Chris is coming for, taking the best out of Scottish football. One week in their team, but also take their best talent out of their clubs and, bring it to Rangers. And a lot of times, if we're honest, it worked out. You know what I mean? But sometimes I just think clubs, so my opinion, by the way, Chris, I think clubs in Scotland hold Rangers to ransom when it comes to money. Because you're just thinking, even more so now with the American owners, they'll be wanting, I'll give you an example, if we were going to try, if Miofsky was still at Aberdeen, they'd been wanting funny money for him if we wanted to buy him for them. So Miofsky had to leave Scotland. We got him for Girona to bring him back to here. I mean, that's just sort of things that happens. Sometimes they don't want to sell to us. I know, Chris, that's another big problem we've got now. These clubs don't want to give us their players because they know, for week one, we're weakening their team. And number two, we're strengthening ours. And sometimes these guys are just bottoming up on the bench as well. I just think I'd love to see good Scottish talent. I mean, the boy Doig for Hibs that went to Italy, Ferguson for Aberdeen, Italy. There's been a few high-profile ones, with Rangers connections that's left Scotland and we never looked. And I think massive mistakes. Letting these guys out, even the young boy from Motherwell, Miller. I think, why did Rangers not have a punt? Because he was a great player for Motherwell, young. He was coming through at the same time as Bailey Rice at Motherwell, and Bailey Rice was supposed to be a better one, and we took him. And look how different their careers have went now. So transfers, as Doc says, transfers are an absolute gamble. You're never going to get them all right. Never ever in a month or so. You're going to get them all right. But I get what you're saying. Buying out of Scotland, I think there's less risk. But as I said, I think clubs hold us to ransom with prices. I think that's why Rangers look elsewhere now, mate. I just think clubs are asking far too much money for what their players are, on offer.
We see in terms of Scottish players and that. Now, Walter's teams were built on the foundations of Scottish players. When Walter came back the second time, the first thing he done was Davy Weir, Kevin Thompson, Lee McCulloch, and he built that foundation of Scottish players, but also, more importantly, leaders. He brought leaders into that team. Something that we're clearly lacking is leadership, people that will take responsibility, people that will know shock when it's 1-0 down and decide, I want off the pitch, I want to go home. And in terms of Lennon Miller, Josh Doig, and things, these are players that we should have been first in the queue for. And I find it's a damning indictment that Serie A clubs are more invested in Scottish talent than Rangers Football Club, who are a Scottish team. I just find that as a damning indictment of where our recruitment has been over the last number of years.
It's Southside.
I'll ask you a question, right? I'm not disagreeing they're good players, right? But do you think that Ferguson and Josh Doig would have really flourished the way they have in the Rangers environment, the way the dressing room's been for the last number of years, and what we've been, and when the performances change of managers and everything that's happened, do you think the two boys would have flourished in the Rangers team?
Potentially, they might have stank the place out. There's always that risk. You run that risk with every player, and I think that is a fair point about the dressing rooms, the lack of leadership, the things that are going on up the stairs, and all the rest of it. It's a bit of a basket case to come into, and it dilutes players. You only have to look at another club, Man United. That at the minute is a graveyard for players at the minute. But yeah, you're probably right. They probably needed to go somewhere else to go and flourish and go and get that expression. But at the same time, we shouldn't disregard our roots. We shouldn't disregard the league that we're in and say, let's go down to England and show up in England all the time. Because for me, this is just my opinion, there's not a lot of value in England. Yes, you can pick up a Joe Aribo. Yes, Celtic picked up Matt O'Reilly and sold him on and things like that. You can do that. But for me, it's a limited opportunity in England due to the inflated wages, the fees and things like that, which for me, I think, yes, you've probably got a point in terms of that. But again, it comes back to the crux of it again, recruitment. If you're recruiting the right personalities, the right people, and you've got the right infrastructure up the stairs, there is no real excuse for people not to be able to flourish. And we've got to create that environment now. We've got to create an environment where a player can come at 21 years of age, flourish at our football club, and give us a nice fee at the end of the day when they're going out the door. We've got to create that environment, and that's coming from the top, right down to the fans, right down to everybody associated with the club, into the grassroots, everywhere, that this club is a positive environment for players to come to. Because if it's not, I do think sometimes we do run the risk of becoming a toxic environment to some degree. And the last thing I want is this club becoming the Watford of Scotland. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Now, I've seen people saying, get Russell Marriott. Yes, he probably should go. But when you start sacking managers continuously, yes, you can do it. There's nobody says you can't. You risk diluting the job to genuine people who can come in and do a good job. We are not Chelsea, and we are Madrid who can do that.
Yeah, that mate. Yeah, you made a lot of points. Look,
sorry.
Go back to. Oh, it's all right, mate. Yeah, a lot of points, and Southside's right away there rapidly. Right, but what I will say is, look, you can create all that environment, which you'd like to think is all can hurry. A football dressing room is no like a work environment. You know, people, it's not like a normal work because it's sport. And it's different in recruitment. It's getting the blend right. And if you look at the famous one, Andy Cole and Terry Sheringham, didn't like it. Andy Cole, I think it was Terry Sheringham, didn't like each other, Terry Sheringham. But you wouldn't have known that on the park. So it's all about what you do on the park, and you can get the best characters, the best leaders that you think you've got. But football dressing rooms and football teams are a bit of a blend. You might have 11 leaders, but an absolute crap team because you've no flair in it. You can't create it. So it's a complex thing, and everyone that you sign to come into your first team is difficult and a gamble. And you're always looking for somebody goes and somebody comes in to be better. But just in life, Port Bear, there ain't no guarantees, is there?
No, 100%, mate, 100%. And I think that's why, just to touch on, about, complex environments, like dressing rooms, I think this is why it was so important that when Kevin Fairwell says about, the Raskin situation, we can't let things like that fester in dressing rooms because it is such a close-knit, tight environment. You know what I mean? It's one bad apple, one bad, they'll say one bad apple here, it can destroy a full bloody dressing room. You know what I mean? That's why I get where Chris is coming to in terms of leadership and leadership group and all that carry on. These things keep getting mentioned now at Ibrox. But I just think, recruitment's is it Oxford? Would you say 60-40? 60%, fall by the wayside, 40%. You know what I mean? It's hard, mate. It's hard to get it right. very, very, very hard. In every club, in every situation, you see it. Players going for funny money. And it just doesn't work out, Oxford. It just doesn't work out because it could be the formation, it could be the manager, it could be the environment. Loads of things can affect a football player, mate. And this is why there's such a weird breed, footballers. This is why it's so difficult. That's so my opinion, mate. It's really, really hard to get recruitment right at any level, by the way. Any level.
Because there's so many complex things. We've had an example of that in my own team, the young boy Lowry, who definitely got football ability, but you also need heart and attitude. And look what lifestyle the young boy is such a young man. It wasn't fair what happened to him. Never has when somebody loses their parent so young,
Mm-hmm.
But, and I know it happens in all walks of life, but when you're in the public eye, sometimes certain things can be tougher. I'm not saying it's no tough for anybody else. But we had high hopes. We definitely got ability. It doesn't work out. And that's the problem. Who's good at 16 maybe isn't your best player at 20. It's so complex. And if I'm honest, I'll say there's a lot of luck involved as well, isn't there?
I mean, you're coming through at Rangers and you're coming through the boys' academy and whatever. Aye, you've got to be really good. You can't just go in the park and be good. You've got to be really good, and then you've got to keep that. I mean, you only look at Ross McCausland. Another player that when he first came in, he was doing well because the team were rotten. For most of the weeks, we weren't really creating. He was a breath of fresh air, and then suddenly he hits tips of form because he's a young boy, and next minute everybody's on his back. And even though he played out of position and was instructed how to play out there and what to do, he still came in for criticism. Lowry, same idea, and came in for a bit of criticism, but watched him in the B team and he was excellent. He was too good for that team. He had to try and come into the first team. But for whatever reason, he never kicked on under certain managers. And now he's done playing, I think, at Wickham. But that's just what it is. And it's just the pressure when you come into the team. If you're a young boy, look at Finlay Curtis. He's the same. He's trying to get in the team and playing. We went out and bought 2 wingers. But he's got the right attitude, and I think he's a decent player, and hopefully he'll be the one maybe now that we'll see come through for the academy that might go and have a successful career at the club. And when he becomes really good, or he is playing really well in form, I'm sure certain clubs will come and have a look at him, and it'll be up to him if he goes, and we'll possibly get good money for him. And it'll be the first time in a long while we've probably had money out an academy player. But now I just want to see him go in the park, and because he has a talent, he's got an eye for goal. But at the end of the day, it's up to the manager, and he's brought in 2 more experienced players, and Ant-Man and Gasman, and they'll probably play more than him. But hopefully Finlay will come in and play enough games and show that he's got a talent and contribute to the team works.
If you score goals, mate, you get away with murder.
Well, aye, and the fact that Gasman had a good bit of form in Europe for us, he was scoring, and then, but he needs to start scoring in the league, and we need Ant-Man to be doing the same in the other wing. I know he's just in the door, but he looked good when he first came in his debut, and then obviously doubled up against St Mirren and that, and we didn't really play well that day.
So it's not a good game.
So a bit confidence. No, but it's a bit confidence, and the team's got to play a bit confidence, and at the moment they haven't been. And as Christopher says, it's been toxic for the players. I've been at all the games, you've heard the reaction for the support. So, and a lot of them will be like, what's going on here? So they know about it now, and it's time on Saturday. It's time that we kick on now and get the hammer done.
Right, we've reached that time of the evening, believe it or not, GB. Would you believe that?
No, it's because you have been talking about these transfers, so it's been all go.
Right, we're going to have a tune, so if you don't mind getting yourself on mute, and we'll come back to Christopher after the tune.
I sailed the wild Atlantic, across the broad Pacific shore. I sailed around the stormy capes, and I've heard the forties roar. I've climbed the Indian Ocean, and I've sailed the China Sea. But there's a sea back home in Scotland, more than all the rest to me. It's the blue, blue, blue
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yes, aye. I get you. Great points about recruitment, Christopher, and obviously we brought a lot of players in, with free transfers, players on loan. Sometimes I like the option to buy, loan to buy. I can see the sense in it. I don't know if we've had some that's particularly worked out, but I can see the sense in it. And then we paid big money for a young centre forward. Big money. I believe he's my second highest ever transfer, which again doesn't guarantee nothing. And then obviously we brought a centre half in who's got the physique. I think about 6'5", the lad. But you're buying potential, and I'm interested to see how that pans out. But look, the manager, he and his team, his management team, they'll be judged on the recruitment, but they'll also be judged on results, mate. Whether they get the players they want or they don't get the players they want, it'll no matter if you don't get results. And that goes not just for Russell Martin, that goes for any manager, Christopher.
Yeah, I think ultimately you've got to tie the two together. You've got to have a capable manager in the dugout. Now, the capability of this manager is in question, and rightly so, but you've also got to have the right recruitment to blend that in all together and be able to tie that all together. And I think that's so important too. This football ground, sadly, we've not had enough of that. But also saying in terms of this, I think it's Chimete, his name is, the lad for Everton. I think he might be all right. I think he might come up here and do all right, because I've looked at a couple of his stats and things like that. And I know people look at the headline stats, the goal stats, and say, oh, that's awful and things like that. But the goal, if you look at his game time at Everton over 2 years, he's only played, 500 minutes, which is pretty much 5 games in total. So how much goals do you expect him to score in English Premier League in that time when he's only doing 10, 20-minute cameos? But I would much rather look at his time at Sporting Lisbon, where he's got 5 goal contributions in 16 games as a teenager at Sporting Lisbon. I'd much rather look and focus on that. And also, if you look at his stats in terms of aerial duels, he seems to rate quite highly for that. And I'm hoping that he comes up here and that helps him adapt to the Scottish game.
Yeah, well, I wish him all the best. We're bought in potential. You can't really call it potential, so say when you're spending that kind of money in our environment, mate. Yeah, in world football now, it's not making the headlines, but in Scotland, where we are and the revenue we take in for TV, it's a big outlay, yeah.
Aye, it is. And obviously, as you said, Christopher, I was laughing there when you said you scouted them on that when you were saying the club. You were saying the club, you thought the club were doing that, we should go and look at the player. But as you say, that's the way you've got to do it sometimes. But it's a big outlay for us. And obviously, Purdy and Thelwell's got an insight into the boy. He's not done it at Everton, but it's not to say he can't do it here. So they're taking a chance in what they believe in, that he'll probably come up here and score goals. So we can only wait and see. I think if we play a one at the moment, in my opinion, Majowski probably would start on Saturday, Christopher, if we were playing the one. But who knows? It's only my opinion. So we just have to wait and see and judge the two of them. We've took a lot of goals out of our team. Megnaman gone and Dessers gone, and obviously Cherney contributed last season and a lot of it. So there's probably over 50 odd goals took out our team, and it's down to these two boys and the two wide players, and also it's down to the whole team to start scoring goals. But we relied on 2 strikers and a winger that contributed greatly to our team. So we've got to replace that, and hopefully the two of them will be the right guys that they've chosen, Christopher.
Yeah, and I think...
Sorry, Christopher.
There you go.
We'll go to GB.
There you go, Christopher.
Right back to you, GB.
Yeah, no, Paul. I think ultimately time will be the ultimate teller of it. He may come up here, stink the place out. That could happen. But at the same time, he could come good, and I'm fingers crossed it comes good. But I dread to think that we've spent almost £20 million on strikers in terms of Chimetti, Danilo and Miovski. And if we're not getting a good goal scoring return out, £20 million worth of strikers, when are we going to get a good goal scoring return out of any of these strikers?
But at the moment, mate, the way we played domestically, you could have Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker and Alan McCoy standing up front, and we wouldn't have scored any goals because we weren't getting the ball anywhere near the opposition goal consistently. GB.
No, and this is where it comes down to manager. I genuinely think the transfer window's actually been all right since it's shut there. When you look through what we've signed, we actually have signed decent quality. The Old Firm kind of showed me that we've got a team there that can actually compete, especially against them across the city. So it is really down to the manager now. It's down to the manager, it's down to his tactics, and he's got to get goals. You said at the start of the show, we've got boys there weighing international duty and they're scoring goals. And it's because they're in a system that they're either comfortable in or whatever. So, we've talked about Asgard coming on, and he's, again, opposition probably wasn't great, but again, the boy scored a cracking penalty. He had a couple of tap-ins. I've not really seen Asgard play that position for us yet. So it's about Russell Martin now gathering up these players, getting them into a system that we're going to see goals, because Gassama and Ant-Man, again, have been non-existent, and that's not been down to them. That's been down to the tactics, again, for the manager. So I think the Old Firm game was a big wake-up call for the manager and the management team, and it's over to them on Saturday. Like I says, we've got to see that same hunger and desire on Saturday, plus the bit of flair that he's brought in with the talent. We've got to see the kind of, like I says, Gassama going at players and stuff like that, because it seems to be, for some reason, we've put the handbrake back on these guys, and it's not been down to the teams in the league sitting in with the full part in the bus attitude. A lot of these teams have been playing against us. Motherwell and St Mirren and all that, they weren't sitting just camped in all game. They were coming at us. So there's spaces there to be had, and it's down to Russell Martin to sort that out.
Up there.
I totally agree with you, GB. I think in terms of the Hearts game, I think because I don't expect Hearts to come to Ibrox, guys, and sit in. I really don't. I think they see a wounded animal, and if anything, I think it'll be the opposite. I think they're going to have a right go at Rangers at Ibrox, and I think that's what I personally hope. That's when you see a better Rangers, because right now we've still not figured out the conundrum and how to beat this low block. I think if it was me personally with this low block situation, we've got pace at the back now. I don't know why we insist on keeping four at the back when we've got too many players behind the ball. Me personally, I would have two up front. I'd play Miovski and Chermity in certain games, because I think we should be on paper better than what we're seeing. And I would bring Ant-Man and Gasman just in a bit narrower and bring my width to our two full-backs and leave the two centre-backs to get on with it, because what I've seen of Cornelius, who I hope starts, he's got pace and he's aggressive in the tackle.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one thing. I think that's one thing he's no got Portby. Pace. Cornelius.
I thought he looked alright. The other night. Maybe for a centre half, I don't mean burning, blinging pace, but he's got pace.
No.
What I saw him, mate, he looked having decent pace.
I think, I'm not saying he's slow, but when you consider the G and that, what you're seeing is, I'm not saying they've played well in games. What they have got is pace. I think Cornelius is maybe looks a better centre half and a more experienced pro, but I don't think he's as quick as the boys. Just my take on it, mate.
Take on it. But you get where I'm coming from. Why are we still sitting with so many players deep?
Go and win the game.
Basically camped down into the end box.
Score goals.
Yep, squeeze them. Get as many players in the box as you can and get your width coming for your fullback. So when your fullbacks are providing the crosses and the width, and we know our fullbacks can provide both, right? They're decent with dead balls and they're decent with crossing Tav or Aarons or the boy Magoma at the back. We've got quality from the wing ups here, and with Gassama and Atman and that bit narrower linking up with if it's one up front or if it's two up front, you've got all them attacking options, mate. Asgard's chipped in with the goals. You know, there's players that are away this international window, mate, and they've done well. Even the boy, the Albanian boy. Oh, what's his name?
Rami.
Name slipped me. Rami. He started 2 games for Albania, and I'm led to believe he beat a decent 2 games as well. And apparently in the interview, he basically said, now it's to go back and show my own manager. So he's desperate to come back to show his own manager that's a sort of quality he can deliver on the international scene. But again, he's seen as a sort of more attacking option at Rangers, you know, goal provider, goal scorer. You know, I just think we need to be more positive and get more boys. Even they're sitting in, squeeze them into the rain half. If they want to come out, squeeze them. And we just keep working the ball from left to right, and you find them holes. Oh, dear, it's not a brainiac's game. It's a simple game, football. You work left to right, and you pick holes, and you just keep driving, and eventually you will find the space and you'll find the goals. I just don't know why we're sitting after them and allowing them the possession they get up. I mean, I've never seen so many teams get such a high possession against Rangers since the start of the season. I mean, that Motherwell manager, that game really irked me because we go back to Motherwell. By the way, we had one of the easiest starts of the season in terms of fixtures, in my opinion, and we've not capitalised on it. But that Motherwell manager, was a new manager at the Scottish game, I thought Motherwell played brilliant that day. I thought they were, they had a goal when they could, and we didn't have the answers to break them down. And to me, that falls on us as a team and players and also the manager, because we're sitting far, far too deep and allowing these teams to dictate. When do we let players dictate? We're Rangers here. You don't let anybody dictate to us. I'm not saying, we've earned that right. We've not earned that right under Russell Martin. But, it's going to get to a point where we should, as a team and a club, have that. We are the dominant team in Scotland next year. And right now, our biggest rivals are a wounded animal. And we're not capitalising, which hurts me even more, by the way.
We'll start winning on Saturday, put the ball in the net. But listen, one of the things that's frustrated me, and I'll take this to GB and then I'll bring Christopher on Southside can come in after that. One of the things is, just talking domestically, we'll part the European stuff. Domestically, Motherwell equalise, and then there's about 4 minutes to go, and we make about 3 chances. Dundee. So you're saying to yourself, how did we not play the whole game at that tempo? Would have made umpteen chances, won the game. Dundee were so pedestrian the first 45 minutes. Lose a goal, lose a man, and then the last 20 minutes, if we're taking it with 10 men and in the circumstances, we actually done all right. Created chances, so we waited till we're one and a man down before we start any tempo. Yeah. St Mirren, first half was atrocious. Second half was pretty much, I know they had a couple of breakaways near the end, but we're trying to win the game. We played at least at a decent tempo and came into the game and started making things. But we're not starting the games and we're waiting till we go a goal be done. So there's positives within that huge negative. GB.
Aye, it's when we start deciding that we want to be brave with the ball, Hawks. That's when we actually start seeing the team playing, like you says, with the Dundee game. It wasn't till we started going down to the 10 men that we were seeing players flooding forward, chances getting created left, right and centre. And if it wasn't for an offside, we probably would have won the game. You know what I mean? So it shows you that it's in them, Hawks. And I don't know if that's coming from the instruction, for the bench, that you're to sit in. Whereas the instruction in Long Firm, Hawks, was to go out there and win every ball. You know what I mean? And create chances. And you're like, where's that been all season? Why is that not been the instruction for every single game? So, again, it all comes back down to the manager, Hawks. He's trying to play this nice tippy-tappy football. See, to be honest, you're just basically sleeves rolled up and your talent will take care of itself for me.
Christopher, then Southside.
Yeah, I think in terms of I think we're too slow, we're too pedestrian in the build-up, we're too pedestrian trying to play through teams. We're not. I think we could learn a lot, and this might not go down very pop, but I think we could learn a lot from Ange Postecoglou's time at Celtic. That 100-mile-an-hour style of football, non-stop and absolute battering a team before half-time. I think we could learn a lot. Now, I'm not saying completely just disregard the defence and go all guns blazing, but you can do that. You can go quickly and attack teams with pace, energy, and enthusiasm. You do that, you'll hurt teams badly. Having said that, I think the defence as well, I think we need to improve the defence, because at points in Russell Martin's tenure so far, they look as open as Bonnie Blue's legs, to be fair. But until we stop this pedestrian passing, until we get this defence solid, we're not really going to push on until we get all that addressed.
Southside.
The players that play the ball pedestrians, the players that slow the game down, it's been seen. It doesn't matter. Do you think, honestly, Russell Martin goes out there and tells them, don't pass the ball too quick, we'll just dilly-dally about at the back and we'll just pass it slow? No. He probably tells them to go out and get a fast start and do whatever, and the players just don't deliver it, and they haven't been. And then they'll do it sometimes in the second half or something like that when they've been in at half time. They've seen a wee change, or they get a goal against St Mirren, and then actually for the next 10 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever it was left in the game, we actually played the ball quick, and there was a couple of times we opened them up, we just didn't get the finish. But I thought, right, that's obviously what he wants to do, because the players now have played 3-4 passes and we're already in and tapping them. But we've not seen any of that most of the season. Victoria Pleasant at home, we penned them in the whole game, more or less the first half, and then eventually we scored the goals. But there was a wee bit better football, but nothing to make you think it was excitable. At the end of the day, I think we've got pace in the team. I think now we've got at least one goal scorer that's proven up here in Scotland. So I think we gave him a chance, and I think if you create the chances, and Ant-Man's assist rate at the club before was very high, and I think if he gets into the positions, he'll hopefully add to the goal scoring. But I think he might be a person that gets a lot of assists. So I'm trying to think positively. We can talk about all the negative stuff that we've watched. We've had a reset, and we've got additional players into the squad. So hopefully most people will start to think maybe that's will be the turning time. We need to turn the tide sometime, and we might as well start on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Right. The team could look really different from what it did against Motherwell, Porter, with personnel. Really different.
Aye. Now, what the manager touched on that, after the transfer window slammed shut, the team could look so different after that. And I think that was another thing that was maybe hanging over the club as well last year. When that transfer window was open, there's still doubt in there on who's staying, who's going, and again, the Raskin situation was still bubbling away. So now that slam's shut, Russell Martin knows who he's got. Now he's just got to figure out who's where. And that's another thing, he's got a bit of proving to do to the team, I think, as a squad, and is building trust up with them. And I think some of the players have got a job in their hands to show the manager and the fans in particular that they want to be here and they're up for the fight. I think that's what the players have to show the manager and the fans, mate. I think that's mega important right now, because right now, I think the squad, not all of them, I don't want to tar everybody with the same brush, but I think they've lost a bit of trust between the manager and the fans. And like when you about the manager, I think the manager's lost a bit of trust as well in the fans and probably the players, because for me, the first 4 games, especially domestically, I don't think they were understanding the instruction they were given last year. I really don't. I think they were really, really struggling. That's what I saw. I saw a team struggling to understand what they were supposed to be doing. And I said this on the last show. Sometimes you can overload with far too much information too quickly. Sorry, mate.
No, see all the instruction in the world, all the systems, all the personnel that's next to you, mate. Is there any excuse for no passing the ball 10 yards?
No. That's doing the player, mate. That's a fact. That's absolutely doing to the player. That is so doing to the player, mate. As I said, you can't blame Russell Martin for everything up here. Before we knocked off the international break, everybody wanted to see the block. And I got it. I understood the frustration, understood the passion for the fans. But I thought,
Mhm.
God, we're only 2-3 games in at that point, But he coached the team all week and he sent them across that white line. The minute they cross that white line, mate, his hands are clear. If they don't go in there and perform for them and perform for who's in that stadium, then can't put that all on him. Aye, he's a manager, he's a coach, he's got to get that. But you can shout and ball, talk, whatever way your style of management is, if you're blue in the face to a player. But if he's on that pitch, mate, they can so easily throw you under the bus, and that's been proven at this club, with other managers. But a squad of players, mate, can throw you under the bus anytime. I still believe they've got player power. I've always said powers by the players. But like
But
I
there's
said,
very
the
few
series,
more.
I'm hoping to see. Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to see a different, stronger, more organised, certainly as well, especially at the back. Rangers against Hearts, because I tell you, we'll need to be on it because they've got a decent start to the season under a manager that we all know well. He's coached enough teams in this league. We get what McInnes brings as a manager. And Hearts have spent, wisely. The boy Braga they've signed for up front, he's been a great signing for them, the Portuguese boy. I was watching him the other night just to get a wee bit of information about him. I hadn't seen him much this season. The record signing, the Brazilian boy. So, I seen him and the record signing, the Brazilian boy they've got, Agu. I've seen that he's probably out and all. He's got a hamstring injury. But he's a record signing, mate. So
we've got 6 games.
Fair enough about them. What us?
6 games coming up, mate. 3 domestic league games, 1 cup, and 2 European ties before the next international break. This is a big part of the season, any season, and hopefully we can string results together, particularly in the league, because we're just more focused in the league because we're coming up to the first league game back on Saturday. So we're hoping 9 out of 9 league points between now and the break, mate, and then things maybe look differently and the pressure rises, and obviously the manager can maybe get on with doing his job without as much noise, but it will not change the pressure, but it'll ease some of the tension, if that makes sense, Christopher.
Yeah, indeed. I think it will come down to the performance at the end of the day, how we perform on that pitch when it comes game time. Do we look more organised? Do the players look more in tune and things like that? But time's the ultimate teller at the end of the day. Time's the ultimate teller. And I hope Russell Martin's reflected and maybe learned from a couple of mistakes and maybe adjusted and seen what he was maybe doing. I get that and understand once the players go over that white line, ultimately it's up to the players, but also the manager has to be able to inspire the players to give the performances and be able to hold the players to account. And I think there's a lot of soul searching needs to be done within that dressing room. I think now's the time for the players to stand up and say, right, we're going to get behind this manager and we're going to put in the performances and get the results required. But ultimately, again, time's going to be the ultimate teller of that.
It's results. And I hope he's successful, because that means we're successful. Simple for me, Southside. Yeah, being as critical as most with the performances, and question some of the things. But I hope it starts with a positive and we get a result and a performance on Saturday.
Aye, 100%. We've got to kickstart the season on Saturday. And Hearts are the team that's 6 points in front of us. And they'll come with ambition, probably, and hope, and they'll probably think they can have a go, and they'll probably look to attack us. I don't think they'll come and sit in, but it's down to us. We're at home and we've got to show a reaction, and we need to start on Saturday, and I think we've got the players there that can hurt Hearts. It's just that we've not really seen them functioning, so the midfield need to function, the strikers need to be given chances and see if they can finish them, but we need to be on top of Hearts on Saturday without question. And it's just a big important game, but they're all important. So just because we've had a bad start, but we've got to stick behind the team, and hopefully Saturday we'll get 3 points, and then we can look to see if we can get by Hibs in the Cup. Like you say, it's 2 big games coming up at Ibrox with Hibs in the Cup and all. But Hearts is the first obstacle, and they're having a good start to the season. But we've got to start our season on Saturday, so hopefully that's when we do it.
Yeah. What?
I think one of the most important things is to get halfway, mate, this weekend is, listen, I think we need to start scoring first. It's amazing how much how much a game changes when you get there and you get that early goal. You can start to sort of, we've struggled again this season to get that first goal, mate. And I think immediately you're sitting there and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And what's happened so far is they've scored, and immediately the pressure goes right on. And it's took a couple of roastings off Russell Martin at half time before you actually see them sometimes starting. And I don't want that, mate. I want Rangers to go out there and be positive, and really have a go. Get that early goal, get that pressure off. It's amazing how much you can relax when you're putting a bit less pressure behind you. The game totally changes because then they can't sit in. Team have got to then come out. There's a million and one reasons, mate, to go out and get that first goal. And I think that's one thing that Rangers need to start getting back to. Getting out there and getting that goal, force the team to play, force the other team to play, the opposition to come out. And then that's when we seem to be at our best. Then we can really cut teams open and really get goals. I think he's got a massive task in his hand, mate. I think, a lot of people are, I'm going to talk about the strikers here. A lot of people are thinking, does he start with Miovski, the guy that scored plenty in Scotland? A good big guy that leads the front line. He's good in the air, good in the deck, got a bit of pace about him. Or does it totally come down to money, mate? The guy we paid £8 million for. Does she have to start because of the money involved? Or can we play two? Can we play two up front? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think there will be times for it and times not. I just don't know if we're ready to throw two up against Hearts because they've been pretty strong so far in the opening games of the season. But I think that early goal, mate, for me is a biggie. It would immediately lift the stadium. Fans are behind the team. And Rangers can play with a bit less pressure on them, mate. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think we need to start scoring that first goal, mate.
Like we did at Motherwell.
Aye, but we've still not hit the goose, mate, even after that, did we? So, but I just think, I don't know, I just think it's a big difference.
Goal, mate. Get the first goal
Aye.
and then the second goal. Yeah. You can't get the second one unless you get the first one, mate.
Get the first, 100%. 100%. Yep. Aye, bang on, mate. Bang on.
Aye. And I think we're all agreed, Christopher, Southside, and I'll go to GB with us. We aren't making enough chances, and we aren't scoring enough goals. And we're talking domestically here. Yeah, and also it's not been great in Europe. We've scored goals in Europe. I mean, Panathinaikos and obviously home against Pilsner. But we gave up a lot of chances, so you've got to tighten up the chances you give away, because we've watched it and we have got to create more chances. Obviously, you create more chances, you're home to score more goals. GB.
It's so important to get the first two goals the first half. Then it's an easier game after that, because then the opposition are coming at you to try and get back into the game. But like I said, I'm not trying to be negative, Ox, but it all comes down to the manager. If you've got, Southside said that we had two guys on Ant-Man and all the rest of it. If there's two guys on him, then it's down to the tactics to exploit that. I mean, it's up to him to see that and see where he can get the space to allow the players to create the chances for the striker. I mean,
managers
I just think
managers are responsible for a lot of stuff in modern football, mate. But they can't be responsible for players. It's no FIFA, mate. Players in the first 45 and the second 45 are responsible for what they do and how they move the ball and the spaces and the runs they take. Yeah, you're told to do certain things for the team, but the players are totally unculpable with this. But I take your point. that some of the criticism for the manager might be the shape, and sometimes Southside, the personnel is selected.
Aye, there's probably one or two, but you had to tinker it about in that. I mean, we brought in Asgard, he done the pre-season bit and all that, and then he gets injured, and then we don't see him for a number of weeks, and then we try to fit him into the team and give him some game time. And we've done that. Lyle Cameron's come in and out, and he's worked hard. Connor Barron wasn't seen, comes back for the Celtic game. Raskin's the one. Rothwell's been playing every other week and getting took off within 60, 70 minutes. And no contributing enough. Tidy on the ball at times, but never near at it at the moment. Miles off it. So that's all contributed to everything that's been happening. And at times we've looked dodgy with the way we've tried to pass the ball out for the back. But it will come together at some point. It's got to. You know, it's not going to be this the whole way. Players will learn what they're meant to be doing. And a lot of them are coming back for international duty and we're just coming back in to play Hearts. That's just the nature of the beast. That's what happens at the club. And if you're an international player, it's happening all over Britain. The players are coming back to play their games at the weekend. So they need to be up for it. But they'll have a shape and a style. And he's just going to pick the team that's good, that he thinks will be good enough on Saturday. We've got to try and get a positive attitude back. Everyone's all sort of negativity. We're no good at this, and it's all on the manager's fault. Listen, we heard Clement say it, we heard Barry Ferguson say it. I tell the players what to do, they go in the park and they don't do what I've told them to do. So, this new players that he's bringing in and the players that's going to be staying with the squad that some of us are still questioning and wanted rid of, they need to make sure that they're all pulling in the one direction. And we'll watch it on the park and we'll judge it as supporters. That's an easy thing to do. Who's working hard, who's standing in beside a player and hiding when he doesn't want the ball. So they'll all be questioned, but I'm looking forward to Saturday. I'm hoping that we'll come out and we'll actually start the game well, and maybe nick a goal or two straight away, and then we can maybe get a bit of positivity about the club, because everything now is everybody's gone and dreading what might happen and this might happen. Try and just go and give them a clean slate for now and hope that this squad of players that we've got now with the window shut are all pulling the one direction. And if Bajrami, Raskin, Tav and Butland, Diamandi all pull for the rest of the other players that's in that squad that he's bringing in, then it might make the club a lot better than what we think.
Aye, right. We're moving at the last half an hour of the show. Let's hear from East.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, Mary, you're more a study of world football than me. Did I read somewhere, or was I dreaming, that next year they're talking about combining the October and September international breaks? Did you pick that up?
Aye, it's something to do with the World Cup things. It's something to do with because they're trying to shoehorn so many games in during that week. Aye, no, I did see something about it, mate. I just can't remember what they said. There was a reason for it, but I can't remember what the reason was. I know what you're talking about though. Yep. I don't get it, mate. Again, players suffering, club teams suffering because FIFA want to make their big tournaments the big name and the bright lights, mate. That's what they want. They don't care about club football. They don't care about player safety, players' health. Just get as many games on the big TV screens and stadiums full as you can, because it's the revenue. That's all they're caring about, mate. Player safety, players, clubs who are struggling. Maybe these players going injured on all these matches in international duty. I don't know what's going on, mate, but I can guarantee it's financial.
Aye. I would like us to put on a performance at the weekend, GB. Obviously get the result, but I'd like a performance, because I'll tell you, the fans deserve a performance, yeah?
Aye, Ox, a performance and a right good result would be really good, because it'd be win-win, boosts the confidence of the team, the fans, full club, and like you say, for once it'll actually put a bit of pressure across the city, Ox. That's what we need to do. I'm totally behind what Southside's saying. We just need to get behind the team and stuff like that. But we really do need to get capitalising on this, because if we do get a bit of pressure across the city, I think they will fold, Ox. They're in a right bad place now. And I think this is why a lot of the frustration's coming, Ox, because we're not taking an opportunity. There's an opportunity here to win this title this season, and we always just seem to just make it easy. We always try and do the fancy stuff. Just do it simple. Just grab wins. I don't care if it's Bridgemans to the end of the season, until Russell Martin gets his message across to the team. I would take a 1-0 and keep building on it and just keep the pressure there. Because like you say, it's about chasing now, trying to get that second place now. And then after that, everything else will take care of itself. But like I say, it starts on Saturday, Ox. We need something. We need to see that there's like I say, maybe moments there that we can see, all right, we can see what he's trying to do. But it's 3 points, Ox. It's got to be 3 points. If it's no 3 points, then fortunately the heat will come again.
I get that, mate. You know, I do understand that it's not always smart to get rid of your managers, but I'm not going to deny that if that did happen, that the heat would come again. That's a good way of putting it. Right, Southside, I always like to put you on the spot, mate. You know that, yeah? Remember, don't forget your toothbrush. But what I'm going to say is, give me Southside's starting 11 for the weekend.
You're at it, you, man. It's just Thursday.
I'm glad that's the first, mate, you know what day of the week it is. But well done, mate. That's a good start. Right, carry on.
Aye, it's Thursday. Right.
Butland in goal, we agree.
Butland's in goal. I think on performance for the last game, not been away international due to the two of them haven't been, but I think Tav starts. I would play Giga and I would play Scooter and I would stick a big man at left back because I think that will happen from time to time. So I think if he's no dropping any of the two, I think I would just stick with that, make it solid, and go with that. And then up midfield, I'd play Raskin. I would have Tel Asgard, and I would have Diamondi, Gasman, Ant-Man, Majowski.
Right, no place for our star striker, mate.
Who's our star striker? Danilo?
No.
What you think, Cement? Nah, I don't think the boy Everton will start. No, I think Majowski starts.
All right, okay.
Just my opinion.
Okay. Listen, mate, I value your opinion, yeah? Don't always agree with it, but I do agree with it lots. What? You thought about it, mate?
I've had a wee think about it,
Yeah,
mate,
you
just
have.
during the second of the show. Aye. Butland. I'm going to try and stick with the back four. I've wrote down, mate. So I've got Aarons, Giga, Cornelius, Magoma, Raskin the 6, Rothwell, Asgard, left Kasama, Majowski, and Ant-Man. That'd be my team.
Can I ask you a question? I think you know what's coming for me.
I would ask him one and all
What is
after
he?
you.
Why? You can come in after me. What has Aaron's done to get in your starting 11, mate?
Right. I do see quality in the boy, mate, and I've seen quality doing England. I know you've not seen it up here.
You need
Right.
to go and get tested, and then you need to turn up at HR at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Carry on.
And I want it to work next year, and I really do. And it's
Want
none
him to
against
work.
Tav, by the way. Aye.
Want to
Yeah,
work
so I
and
think,
what you've seen.
and one of these guys, mate, that I believe in. If you play him and just continue to play him, I know the quality's there. He just needs a bit more time, mate. I mean, look at Mark Keeley, for instance. Some players just take a wee bit longer, mate, to settle. And I think there's no way that boy became a player of this poor quality overnight. I can't believe that next year. So I would keep playing the boy through this spell because it will click next year. I'm telling you, it'll click. This boy's going to come good. And
It
I know
might
people
ruin a bit
out there
me, mate.
saying, He was away. I know people were saying, come on, Port, he's a lone player. Who cares about him? Not carry on. But while we've got him, mate, I think we have to use him. But again, it was a tough decision between him and Tav because of his experience as well. I'm going to go with Arms. I need to stick with my guns, mate.
Yeah, mate, I'm on a principle, Port Bear, but at this moment in time, I don't even think he should be cutting up the oranges. GB, then Christopher.
I get Port talking about the talent, but I think Russell Martin now, with the amount of pressure that's on him, he'll be wanting a steady pair of hands, and that's like why I'll go with Tav. I'll stick with Southside's team. I think that's probably got to be quite close to what we'll see. He'll want that nice and solid at the back, a bit of experience now in that system. You think about it with Southside's team, look at all that experience you've got to have in the back line now. And then, like you say, is a bit of a pacey midfield. And then Miłoski didn't do himself any harm in that old firm. Looked a handful. Just needs chances now. We just need to get chances to that boy. I think he'll bury them for us. And then our new star striker, as you call it, I think Russell Martin said it before. He likes his main striker to go and play for 60 minutes, ruffle them up, and then bring on that other striker to finish them off, basically. So hopefully you see something like that, Ox.
Christopher?
Yeah, well, I would completely flip the script and go 3-5-2 because I think that would be something that we could work with. And what I would do is I would have Butland, Cornelius, Tav, and Suter as the back three. I would have Gassman and Ant-Man as the two wide wing backs, and I would have the midfield three. I don't think Barron will get dropped. I think you'll have Barron, Raskin, but I would also have Lyle Cameron as an advanced central midfield player, basically just go forward. And I would have the front two as Miłoski, and I would put Finlay Curtis and give Finlay Curtis just a free rein to operate in behind the striker.
Well, I like Curtis, mate. I like Curtis, but I'm not against the 3-5-2 because I think we've got different strengths. And with Cornelius coming in, with being a natural left-sided defender, it uses balance and maybe possibilities. Interesting. Southside.
An interesting team, Christopher, but there's no danger that he's going to change into a 3-5-2 for this game. Everybody's just said about the pressure on the game. Everybody knows if we don't pick up 3 points, the pressure's going to mount and they'll be screaming for his seat. So I don't think we'll be experimenting too much, to be perfectly honest. I think we've just got to go out and win the game. And a Port, I don't know what you were thinking. You should be going to HR, I agree. You're playing Rothwell instead of you're taking Diamandi out your team, who was probably one of your best players in the last game. Gives you energy, gets about the park, breaks up things.
Nice, yeah.
Doesn't get on the score sheet much. But you're taking him out for Rothwell.
Mate.
Nah, I think Rothwell's got to earn his place. I think now on past performances. But he's Russell Martin's player and he might decide to play him again on Saturday and start him. It wouldn't surprise me. But on form, and if the differences have been settled today, then Raskin on form should probably be in as your number 6. I think Diamandi should still be in there. But if you want to play Rothwell in there, fair enough. Respect your opinion as always, mate. But no for me. And Aaron's, I agree. I think he's got potential and he's like no bad player. But the new, I think Tav will probably take the right back spot. Not to say that Aarons will not come in the next league game maybe because we'll have the European run coming up, so he'll move a couple of players about Port. But I wouldn't be starting Aarons or Tav as much as I think Tav's last performance deserves to start.
We've enjoyed Bob. Evening, Bob.
Hello, how you doing, lads?
All the better for hearing
you, mate. It's nice to hear you again, boys. Been on holiday and enjoyed it. Anyway, big game on Saturday, big fixture. We need to win, and it's going to be like a new beginning. We'll just have to forget the sort of indifferent start we've had. Get things together, and I believe that Raskin and Diamandi is the best midfield, and they should start on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday, and I think Rangers will win. So it's as basic as
See when you say they were best midfielders now. Diamandi went back to a more familiar position. He was in front of Barron but playing on the left. And Raskin's played further forward some of the times, and he's been on the left and instead of central. Is it about getting the blend right in midfield? Is that important for you, Bob Ger?
Well, I've noticed that as well, except the balance in the midfield wasn't as good as it was last year. Again, for the indifferent season we had last year. But as you know, that Diamandi and Raskin are outstanding. If we can get back to playing that form in the right position and in the right formation, well, I think we're on to a winner. They're the best midfielders. If we just get it right, get it gone. Do you not think you'll play with two strikers on Saturday? I think he will.
I don't see him playing with four up front.
Eh?
I don't see him playing with four up front, mate. I just don't. I get it. Two wide men and two strikers. I mean, that's maybe my preferred way of watching football, but I just don't see it happening, mate. I'll go to GB. GB.
It's one thing he's been consistent with. He's been stubborn with how he's wanted to play. But Bob Ger, it really surprised me, mate, because he changed it up for the Old Firm. I don't know if that was out of necessity that he had to do that to save his neck a bit. But I wouldn't be opposed to it, mate, because I think we've got the tools there for it. I just think when he's spent the money on, like, say, Ant-Man and Gassama, I think he's got to have them in the park, mate, and then Miofsky up front. I think, like he's said in his interviews before, he'll start one striker to ruffle them up for the 60 minutes, and then he brings on another striker to hopefully score more goals. But it's down to him to get the players to make the chances, mate.
Well, it's your home fixture. It's up to us to go for it. And I believe this man McInnes will flood the midfield. He'll do what the rest of them do. It's as simple as that. It's the Scottish League we're in. We see it week after week. And he'll just do what the rest of them do and try and hit Rangers on the break. If he comes out there and tries to say, we're hurts, we're top of the league, we're in a great season, we're going to open up on Rangers, and Rangers will pick them off. I'm convinced of that. So I do believe he will start with the two strikers here. But we all know the unpredictability of this man. You never know what you'll do. Hello, still there, boys?
Southside.
Well, we've got the recruitment in now as far as we can go, Bob Ger, so it's down to the players now to go out and put on a performance. We know how the tactics are going to be, and it's just down to the players to carry them out. We need to create more chances, and I'm hopeful now that we've got players in there, but we've got midfielders in there that can go and create. I mean, you've got Asgard, you've Mikey Moore when he comes on, Curtis is direct when he's come on, he's scored a few goals, a young boy. Ant-Man had a good returns rate, seemingly before we signed him. He looked good in his very first game, but since then, it's just been stop and start. But we're looking for him to kick on, Gasman on the wing as well. So you're looking for these players to start contributing a bit more and setting about defenders, getting them one-on-one at times and get the ball whipped across. And we've got a striker that knows where the goal is up here before when he was at Aberdeen. So I believe he'll score goals, and the new boy for Everton, Chimiti, when he gets a chance, hopefully he'll get on the score sheet. But I'm hopeful. Rami's a decent player. He's not got a move. I thought he might have left, he hasn't. So he's got a World Cup to go for and all. So he'll be keen to go on the park and show that he can do something. Lyle Cameron scored goals at Dundee, player that gets his cell in the box. We just need to get the right formation and the right sort of players on the park. But we'll have to mix and match it as we go through the European run as well. But the most important thing is we need to be winning. And the only way to win is to create chances and score goals. So hopefully on Saturday, Bob Ger will go with a positive attitude. Don't think Hearts will sit in. I think Hearts will come and have a go. And it'll be quite an open game. So we need to be on it, and hopefully we'll be.
Well, I sincerely hope Hearts done his something. I sincerely hope that Hearts done his something. Just like the rest of them. But I think they will. I think you'll flood the middle of the park. You'll try and go for a win in the latter part of the game, but we'll see. We'll see. As I say, we all know the unpredictability of this man, so So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it after this international nonsense getting back into it again. And I think Rangers will win. I think we'll get too much for them. And if we can get all these people playing, I mean, as I say, the indifferent start to the season's over. We've got to start doing it now. And didn't want to fall any further behind in this league. I'll walk in what's happening up the road, but that's their problem. At the end of the day, they have 6 points in front of us, and it's got to be clawed back. So we have to get everybody playing, everybody on form, making chances, scoring goals, winning games, and that's it. That's how you win trophies. So we're all dying for a trophy. It's been too long.
Simple as that. Simple as that. Port Bear and GB.
Aye, 100%, Bob. Yeah, I think we have your season starts on Saturday. I think we have to kick on and finally get this team to boot up the backside that it needs. Because I think it's a 6-pointer for me early in the season. Because what we can't have is the same September as with last month. We cannot do it in September because that's getting closer to the sort of Christmas period. If we fall any further behind, I'm telling you, the pressure will increase tenfold on Russell Martin. He needs to get this team going and needs to get them going on Saturday. I think we'll win, but I think it'll be a high-scoring game, something like 4-2 to Rangers, 3-2. Because I think, unless he sorted that defence out and the magic wand's been, wiggled about, I still think we've got a leaky defence. So I think it'll be a high-scoring affair, but Rangers will win.
TB.
Aye, Bob J, I think loving the positivity of the night, mate, and it's the home games. It's so important in a title race, mate. You've got to win your home games. It's one of the most important bits of it, and the away games, obviously, they're always got to be sticky games. But these home games haven't been great for us, especially for this first part of the season. And like you say, it's clean slate, mate. We need to start on a positive. We need to get the home wins started back. And then hopefully that will just breed confidence throughout the club and throughout the fan base, mate. So, a tricky game, but I'm with Port. I'm hoping that the talent will take care of itself on Saturday, and we'll see some nice goals, mate.
All the talent, mate. Yeah, I hope so there. Asgar's goals. I liked his flick, mate. I liked his simple flick. I think it was his 4th goal, actually.
Aye,
I don't know if you've seen that one. I quite liked it. Hopefully that gives him confidence. Yeah. Hopefully it gives him confidence. I'm actually looking forward to Cornelius take Port's point. He's got experience and he's got a presence. I don't think he's a giant, but I think he gets involved and he can pass the ball. So being left-footed, that's going to be a positive south side there.
Aye, he comes with good experience, I think, and he talked well in his interview, and I think he'll probably be a bit of a leader as a character, which will probably help motivate the players round about him, and he'll maybe lead for there. He looks comfortable. He certainly had a good free kick the other night, but it's just about him coming in and settling in. You think at that age he should come in and settle in quite quickly, and he brings a bit of experience into the defence. Rothwell was meant to do that job, I think, in the midfield. So he's looked at the A2 and probably think that would put a bit of experience into the team, along with the players that we've got like Tav and Butland and that when they're picked and playing. So, but Cornelius, I think he'll bring a bit of stability. I think a good left-sided defender, hopefully going forward for us. And that's what we're looking for, somebody to come in, and like we said, we've got Fernandes sitting there. Should we have to change it? I think you probably will at times. We can't just keep playing them every single week. We all know that. So there'll be spells and they'll come out and they'll interchange in certain players. But I'm happy that we've managed to get the deal done. And hopefully he'll go on and be a good leader and a successful time at the club box.
I hope you're right. So, last word for your good self, Bob J.
Aye. Thanks for having me tonight again, lads. It's great to be back on the show. Well, it's a long, hard season in front of us. None's decided yet. And I just hope Rangers can kick into form and get back to normal and win this game on Saturday, starting with a victory on Saturday. And I'll see you all later on. Take care, lads, and thanks for having me once again.
Always a pleasure, Bob. Always a pleasure.
Always
I
a
think
pleasure to be
Christopher's
here.
absolutely
Thank you.
popped out and left us. But a big shout out for Christopher. To come on and get involved, ask us some decent questions and get involved in the debate. That's what put there.
Aye, mate, cheers for having us on. Season starts on Saturday, mate. As the Bridge man would say, biggest game of the season. Biggest game of the season, a wee homage to Bridge. Aye, mate, thanks for having us on. Cheers, lads.
GB.
Aye, Ox, good show tonight. Good debates going on between us and, like you say, Christopher coming in with the whole recruitment stuff and that tonight. It's a big talking point, and as we said, onward to Saturday, 3 points. Let's start putting some pressure on across the city.
Yep. South side.
Aye, good to be on the night with Port and GB. GB, you need to get a wee bit more positivity into you, I think. But apart from that, looking forward to Saturday. I think it'll be a good game. I think we'll keep a clean sheet, Port. And I'll take a 2-0. But the most important thing is to get the win. Regardless of performance, we need to get the win. But looking forward to it on Saturday, and hopefully Ibrox will be loud and proud as always.
Aye, I get that. So say the win takes some of the pressure off. Then people will criticise, and myself included, when we critique the performance. But result of our performance every day of the week in the league match, mate, because obviously you just want the mentality to grow and hopefully confidence to grow. But I don't disagree with you. Win the match foremost. First and foremost, performance is always great, but it's not always the be all and end all, as you know, and all things in life, Southside. Yeah.
Performance or perfection. At the end of the day, mate, it's all about winning on Saturday. So that's what we're looking for on Saturday. I'll give a shout out to the troops on YouTube and thank them for listening in to the show tonight as always. There's been a lot of them in the other night having a bit of a debate. So thank them as well. So thanks for having us on, mate.
Always a pleasure, mate. Thanks to Christopher and Bob Jeff for joining us. Of course, the one and only Port and GB. There's no show without punch when they two are about. And thanks to my mucker Southside for taking the time to join us here in Rangers Radio. Fox and Old School Blue doing the technicals. We're back, and the show's back tomorrow night again between 8 and 10, talking about all things Rangers. And there might be somebody on my list tomorrow. Take it away, Old School Blue.